Oh, thanks for coming with me to this class, sis. I think you're totally gonna enjoy it.
Thanks for inviting me. I hope I can take this class next semester, since I missed registration.
Well, the professor is stoked to have you join. I've been hyping you up, yo!
I'm just excited to learn something new.
And here we are, La Classe. Oops, I did it again.
Bro, why'd you do that? And where's your tote bag?
I forgot it at home!
Well, can't you just levitate home and get it? You're pretty quick about that.
Nah. Class starts in 2 minutes anyway. Ho ho ho.
Good morning, class. I hope you all are ready to learn about childhood today. A big welcome to T-Po's guy's little sister, Brittany, who is sitting in for class today.
Well, I am happy to be here.
Well, I hope you learned something today. So we are going to end class a little early today, by the way, since I have something important I have to do after class. Alright, but with that said, let's get right into it. I assume you all read the readings I assigned?
Sure did.
Great. Then I'm going to start with some vocabulary. Okay, so most of you are familiar with these concepts, but I will reiterate them for Brittany here, who has not been in this class before. So the first vocabulary concept is socially constructed childhood. The concept was explored by Stephen Mintz, who was studying norms and connections to history. It's the idea that one's childhood is shaped by society depending on the historical setting. The next vocabulary concept is gender border work. This is a concept explored by Barrie Thorne in her study on children's play and gender separation. Dude, Barrie Thorne's name is like if the Flash married the Reverse Flash. His name is actually Thawne, not Thorne. Dang it, I thought I had something there. Nice try. You can go to our school's comic book club after class if you want to learn a thing or two about Flash. Anyway, we should get back on track, as much as I love talking about comic books. Anyway, gender border work is the concept that children engage in these gendered expectations and keep them separated into these categories. Boys' norms to the right and girls' norms to the left. Now, that brings us to today's lecture. How does the institution of children's media, specifically books, movies, and TV shows, influence a child's gender, identity, and overall behavior? Okay, so I will be splitting you into two groups of 3 since we have a small class today. And we'll be exploring 2 articles. The impact of gender stereotypes in children's picture books on children, a review, and factors influencing children's perceptions of gender roles and their psychological impact. Evidence from Sociology and Psychology. I've already posted them on sticky notes so you can access them pretty easily, and we'll take 20 minutes to read them. Group 1 will focus on Article 1, and Group 2 will focus on Article 2. You will use what you find in the articles and readings to connect to the question and come up with an example that reflects what you learned. So, you guys want to be a group?
Heck yeah, dude. Ho ho ho, you already know.
So I guess we're a group?
Yay! We get to be besties!
Okay, I guess I can third wheel.
20 minutes later.
Alright, 20 minutes are up. Which group wants to go first?
In our article, we found that books often portray male characters as leaders, athletes, protectors, and strong while portraying women as caring, patient, kind, and submissive. It goes back to Thorne's Borderwork and how boy and girl traits are set and they do not cross over. They have to fit into this role that if they are to be part of this gender group, otherwise they're outsiders.
Good. And your example? Yes. So our example is Rachel Renee Russell's book series, Dork Diaries, which follows the main character, Nikki, as she navigates middle school while writing in her diary. In fact, the very book the readers are holding. This portrayal of middle school girls shows them as catty, at least in the antagonist's case, Mackenzie, dramatic, emotional, girly, quote-unquote, and boy-obsessed. It gives the impression to girls that they have to be this way in middle school, otherwise it wouldn't be seen as normal behavior. Great example. Okay, and group 2?
In our article, we found pretty much the same thing, but with extra points. We found that even in shows and movies with a female lead, the cast is mostly of men. The men are often portrayed as strong and brave, while the women are dainty and sexually attractive. Men are also portrayed as strong by showing bouts of strength and finding enemies, while women are often the ones in danger.
Like the first group said, it connects to Thorne because they are portraying these characters in their stereotypical roles in order to identify themselves with the gender. It influences them to fit into the mold of a girl or a boy with no crossovers or shared traits. And our examples were Disney's DuckTales from 1987 and Snow White from 1937 because we do not talk about the live-action remake in Ba Sing Se. DuckTales portrays Scrooge, Huey, Dewey, and Louie as adventurers, brave and bold, while portraying Mrs. Beakley and Webby as nurturing, kind, and caring, and in Webby's case, prim and proper. Snow White, meanwhile, is portrayed as a cleaner, a baker, and a trusting person. Both of these depictions show that girls are supposed to act nice and nurturing and supporting the men in their lives. This gives the impression that boys need to be adventurous and brave as well, while girls nurturing and trusting. Good job! Great examples, guys. We see the gender roles being portrayed through children's media influencing how they behave when they grow up. Girls learn to be nurturing and caring and good at cleaning, essentially raising them to become mothers and housewives. Boys, meanwhile, learn to be strong, adventurous, and aggressive, raising them to be hard workers and hungry for success. Most of these forms of media that you mentioned would be coming from a time when women were only seen as submissive and meant to be mothers and wives, and when men were the ones in control and providers of the family. Okay, so now let's look at some examples of how gender borderwork is blurred. What children's books, movies, or TV shows can you guys think of that goes against the concept? I don't know if any of you guys know this book series called Among the Hidden. It's by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and it takes place in a dystopian future, and the main character, Luke, he is a third son, but he defies gender stereotypes and gender norms by being timid, rule-following, and kind of weak when he first meets the female protagonist, Jen. But he also is very quiet, and again, sticks to the rules because of how he was, as the title suggests, hidden from the world. Oh my gosh. I am so glad I am not the only one who knows about this. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to, but I love that book in the book series. And I'd like to add that Jen, the main female protagonist, she is awesome. So, unlike Luke, nothing wrong with Luke, of course, but unlike him, she is outspoken, she is rebellious, and she is strong. She does not follow the rules usually when it comes to staying hidden, because she wants to advocate for her and every third child's right to exist. And I love that for her! Yes! Oh my gosh. Thank you. So, yeah. That story is peak, and more people need to know about it, first of all. And second of all, it defies gender stereotypes all across the board. It shows that men and boys can be timid and they can be quiet, and girls can be outspoken and brave.
Speaking of absolute girl bosses, Kyoshi Warriors, anyone? Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yes, you know ball. So yeah, Avatar The Last Airbender has really good depictions of strong women. For example, Katara becomes one of the most OP waterbenders after being raised to only do housework. Toph was always brave, strong, and skilled, not being afraid of a fight or giving anyone tough love. And Suki and the Kyoshi warriors are literally the definition of girl power. Meanwhile, Aang is a boy who is kind, silly, understanding, and does not like to resort to violence and will always try to find a way no one ends up dead in the end. Which, I mean, good for him. That's kind of my end at some point. It shows to boys that they can be in sync with their feelings and they don't always have to resort to violence.
Oh, dude, I remember this duology of movies that I saw when I was a kid. It was Hoodwinked and Hoodwinked 2, the goated movies, bro.
Oh my gosh, yes! I knew we were in a group for a good reason.
Dude, they portrayed Granny and Red as capable and adventurous. And Red had a short temper, which, like, that's awesome because it defies gender stereotypes. Women don't usually have short tempers in media, so in stories or in shows. And speaking of like Avatar, Katara, she has a temper on her. So that's another female character who like has a temper, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and the Schnitzel guy, he's such a hear me out, not gonna lie, but like, okay, hear me out. So he doesn't know how to use an axe, which is the usual masculine trait a lot of men, if not like all men, are taught to use as a skill, but he defies that. And also, he's really good with kids, which, I mean, all women are depicted to take care of the kids and stuff, but it's him that was taking care of them, essentially.
Yes! Gosh, great job, class. All great examples. So, yes, this connects to Stephen Mintz's concept that gender and childhoods are socially constructed. The idea of gender changed over time with the rise of feminist ideals and positive masculinity. The media did not just switch the roles. It showed that the genders can be both, rather than only one category. As time went on, society has gotten used to the fact that women can be capable on their own, and that men can be more in tune with their emotions. And even then, we see that men and women can still be masculine and feminine, but still hold traits of the opposite gender. This is what children see when they watch and read their stories. They see that they can be both and remain their gender, should they choose to do so. The line in the sand dividing the two genders and their roles is blurred by the sea of time, letting both groups cross over and mingle. Oh, I gotta get going, class, but you all did amazing today. Great job. I assigned all the next readings and the study guide for next week's quiz. Okay, I will see you next week. Bye!
Oh, yo, did she just jump out the window or something?
Yeah. Oh, but it looks like she hopped on that tree. And yeah, she's climbing down. Yeah, she's alright.